if you were to give maybe some advice to someone who is coming back to their career in tech or wants to come back to their career in tech, what would you say to them?
For whatever reason you left, please come back. We need you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mili and I'm the career and mindset lead at Tech Returners. So I'm in charge of the all non-technical parts of the Your Return to Tech program. And I have a very, very special guest today. We have Amul from Northcoders, who are our hiring partner for this next Your Return to Tech program. And so I'll be asking him today a couple of questions around creating more diverse teams through hiring returners, and also what value he believes returners can bring to the tech industry. So Amol, could you briefly just introduce yourself and explain how we've partnered together on this next Your Return to Tech program?
Hi, Millie, thanks. And hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Amul Batra. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Northcoders. Northcoders started life in 2016 as a coding bootcamp, and we were one of the first organisations to bring coding bootcamps to the north, the clue being the north part of Northcoders. And since then, we've trained over 1,500 people to become software developers, software engineers at the start of their career. And we have then worked with over 400 different businesses for them to go and kickstart their career at. So this is a really unique relationship. So we've only ever taught people at the start of their career to become software engineers. And I know that Tech Returners do something slightly different in terms of bringing people who've had technical careers in the past and then kind of retraining them, modernizing their skills and kind of getting them ready for a kind of more modern tech environment. So we Northcoders has funding with the Department for Education for skills bootcamps, and we thought, actually, wouldn't it be great to partner with Tech Returners so that we can provide that funding to people who are returners to do a returner specific program, and that we could combine our hiring partner networks to find careers for these returners. So that's what we're doing. That's what this program is about. Northcoders will guarantee an interview for everyone who completes this program, because we are also looking for tech returners and mid-level software engineers at Northcoders, and we will introduce you to our combined hiring partner networks at the end of the program.
That sounds absolutely amazing. And I love that you mentioned kind of a slightly different partnership as well for Northcoders. So let me ask you this, why returners? What value do you see in the returners market?
The value is huge, right? So let's just break this down really simply. There are not enough people in tech at the moment anywhere, at the entry level, at the mid-level, certainly more at the senior level, and certainly in tech leadership. And the problem is that although the industry needs all of these people, there aren't routes in, or there haven't been routes in for many, many, many years that have been diverse. So for the longest period, the only way to get into software engineering, for example, is having done a computer science degree. And so you had to have chosen that you wanted to do computer science at age 17 and then done a 4-year degree and then got a job at the end of it and then stayed in tech. And that's kind of the vast majority of tech professionals have had to follow that route. And so if you follow that route, you're many years off being mid-level. And for those that might leave the industry for whatever reason, be it to start a family, be it to career change into something else, or for whatever reason, you have a head start on everyone trying to get into tech for the first time. And yes, now the pipeline of ways of getting into tech is completely different. You've got skills bootcamps, you've got apprenticeships, you do have shorter degrees, you can become a bedroom coder, all of these things that you can do, but they are still all at the entry level. So if you're a returner coming back into tech, having this kind of refresher course is more than a refresh course. It's very in-depth and it doesn't take 14 weeks for no reason, right? But having this ability to go and do that and kind of come in at a higher level gives the organizations like a different type of person they can bring in at a higher level. But more than that, you know, the one thing that I notice when I speak to all the companies that I speak to is that a lot of businesses struggle with diverse tech leaders or diverse mid-level people because they weren't very diverse when they started. And so to have that ability to use your experience as a returner, someone who's worked in tech before, especially if you're from a diverse background, the value you'll bring to that company is not just your background, not just what you've learned on this tech returners specific cohort, but also the value of all of your life experience. And your differing life experiences. So yeah, it's huge. It's sort of uncountably huge.
Absolutely. And even from my own experience, like the returners can bring a variety of different perspectives. So I wanted to ask you, like in terms of more of business perspective, what's the benefit for a business to have a more diverse and inclusive team?
It's a really good question. Obviously, I'll continue from what I was saying in terms of the benefit of coming back as a returner, especially, you know, if you have a different background to other people that have done the course. So there's a widely held adage, I think it might have been Garner's that did this piece of work, I can't remember exactly, that, you know, diverse boards make more successful companies. They end up making more money for the companies and have kind of better run organization if you've got many different voices on the board. And this isn't just tech, this is just generally, right? But that rings true to tech teams specifically because, you know, if you think about technology, if it's being created by people who went to university, who are mainly men many years ago, so mainly the talent pool of current tech professionals is mainly men, of a certain standing, of a certain age, then it's going to be really hard for you to build a piece of software or an app that everyone wants to use that takes everyone into account. When actually most apps are used by vast members of different types of the public. And so if you actually have voices on that creation team, the software teams, the app teams that share a different experience when building that app, you create an app that is ultimately going to be more useful to more people. And you start taking out biases that may have been unintentional by the creators of those apps. So, you know, you make sure that you're building applications that don't bias against people who are different to the people who built it. But then by being a returner and coming in at a higher level as, say, a new starter to the industry, you've got a quicker route to becoming a leader. So back to the point about having boards who are diverse. And the problem with tech is there's not enough diverse people in leadership roles who can be heroes for those wanting to join the industry. So again, there's a multitude of reasons why diverse teams are better and why kind of getting into tech and trying to be someone who is recognized for being different in tech when so much of tech is you know, has been over the years quite homogenous.
Definitely. And thank you for sharing that perspective, because I think it's really important for businesses as well to see that there is a huge, huge value in that. Almost not just diversity of people, but diversity of thought and perspectives that returners can bring. And so if you were to advise maybe like businesses, like what would you say makes an inclusive and diverse workspace? Kind of how can they make their hiring practices more diverse and inclusive?
God, again, it's you know, I'm going to probably touch a little bit of a touchy subject, but you know, some people from diverse backgrounds have left technology a few years ago because teams weren't inclusive. They might have been diverse, but they might not have had inclusive workplace practices. Again, these might be unintentional, right? But when a team is quite homogenous, it's quite easy for that team to unintentionally exclude people from different backgrounds. And I'm trying to not be too pointed in the types of people here. So, you know, the more inclusive you can make a team, the more you bring in people from different backgrounds, the more you cater for things like maternity cover, or things like flexible working through picking up school kids picking up times, or all of that kind of stuff. The more you allow for people to be proactive and to feel valued on that team. One of the things we do at Northcoders, well, a couple of things we do at Northcoders, for example, is when we're hiring for our own team, we do blind recruitment. We don't want to know, we want to know as little about the person and as much about the application form, and if it's a technical or a tech test, without knowing who they are, what they look like, where they're from. So that allows quality to filter through, not bias to filter through. And another thing we do at Northcoders, if you work at Northcoders, is we do shared maternity paternity, so people can share to take those roles with no penalty on who takes those roles. Again, just trying to create opportunities for lots of different types of people. So the more diverse practices, the more inclusive practices you can have in your team, the more inclusive the team comes, the more successful that team is, the more pathways you create for people from diverse backgrounds to become heroes and champions for the next generation of people.
Yeah, like absolutely agreed on that. And thank you for sharing that advice. I think you have some amazing practices that you've already implemented at Northcoders, and everything you said like absolutely resonates. And so if you were to give maybe some advice to someone who is coming back to their career in tech or wants to come back to their career in tech, what would you say to them?
For whatever reason you left, please come back. We need you. But no, I mean, look, I would say that the tech companies on the whole have changed a lot in the last few years, and more companies are trying to be more inclusive. And that's not just gender, that's, you know, as many different things, from age, diversity, people recognizing actually that people who are maybe a little bit mature than starters have a lot more to give. People who have from different backgrounds, different neurodiversities, different ethnicities, different sexual persuasions, see life in a different way, and those teams are becoming more and more diverse. So, you know, don't be afraid. If it was a little bit not to your liking before, it could well have changed. And I think equally, there's a lot of new companies in tech, be it startups who are scaling up, who are doing incredibly well, or big companies who are realizing they've had to undergo digital transformation and they've got new technology teams within those organizations. They're all new to tech, and they're all starting in this new age of kind of, you know, having inclusive practices, wanting inclusive teams, realizing the benefit of having inclusive teams, realize the benefit of having returners to their workforce. So I would hope that you would find it incredibly valuable, not just for yourself to return to a career in tech, but valuable in terms of the workplaces you're entering, and valuable in terms of delivering great work for those companies you work for.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that, Amul. And I absolutely agree, like the workplace has changed. And so if you're someone who is returning to your career in tech, it is not too late. Now is the time to apply for our next Return to Tech program in partnership with Northcoders. And so applications are closing very soon. So don't wait to apply, and you can have a chance to work with myself, Amul, and get interviewed by Northcoders and their hiring network as well of partners. So thank you so much for being here, Amul, and thank you for sharing your perspective. It's been great to have you here.
Thanks a lot, Mila and Millie. And yeah, please do apply.